Check this out. You guys want to see a magic trick? All right, here we go. What's the matter, buddy?
I fool myself all the time, drink the vinegar, not the wine.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. How's it going, man?
Considering maybe I should, like, start just killing people, just, like, take out, like, a baseball bat and just start going and beating people with, like, death on the streets, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. Are you big today, or am I crazy?
I might be a bit big.
Big green. There you go. That's more like it. That's more like it.
Alright.
Gotta make sure you're on my level.
I fool myself all the time.
We'll get there. Okay, we gotta. Me. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Music Box, the show where I, Bimler, enjoyer of music, show an album to my good friend, Pyrine.
It's me, Pyrine. Sorry about the voice. I've been taking up smoking recently. I had to get one of those holes drilled in my neck, but that's really good. I think more people should pick up on this kind of thing. It's really fun, you know? See, it makes you feel cool. You know what I mean?
You look so cool.
Man, and I gotta tell you, the musk, it's something to die for.
Ugh. And after a week of listening, we get together and discuss. This week, we listen to the new Panchiko album, Ginkgo, which Panchiko are a band with quite the interesting history. They were a band in the 90s who made pretty decent alternative rock, very Radiohead, OK Computer, the Bends, think that sound. And they were kind of doing that, a little more lo-fi. They didn't really make it. Kind of got lost to obscurity until in 2016, some dude on 4chan found one of their CDs all rotten and was like, I actually like this. Can we find the guys that made it? And then after years of searching, they did. And they got the boys back together. They re-released their old music and they started making some new stuff. In 2023, we got the record Failed at Maths, which is kind of a mix of some older tracks that are remastered and reimagined, and also some original songs. I quite preferred the original songs on that album, and it made me very optimistic for what Panchiko could possibly go on to do, which we wouldn't get any more of until now, with Ginkgo, which I didn't expect to love even then as much as I did. This is one of my favorite albums of the year. I thoroughly recommend it to anybody who likes rock music. Yeah. Pyrine, why don't you tell us a little bit about generally your experience getting into this record?
Alright, take number one. I keep wanting to call this album Ginkgo because of fucking Panchiko. Like, in my brain, I keep mixing it up.
It's Panchiko Ginkgo! I know, that makes sense.
and I have to, like, actively stop myself from saying it wrong. What does that even mean, Ginkgo? What does that even mean? Is it like... It's a plant? What kind of plant?
It's a plant. I don't know. It's a plant.
I thought you knew these things. Don't you do, like, research?
Yeah, that's that was what I found. It's a plant. A ginkgo is a plant. Okay. Am I Googling this right now, Pyrine? Is that what you want?
No, you don't have to. No.
No, I get it. He needs me to look it up. It's a plant. Oh, it's got berries on it. That's interesting. It's a species of gymnosperm, native to East Asia.
That's
also known as the maidenhair tree. Yeah.
What does it have to do with the album? That's.
I don't know.
Okay, that was take number one. At take number two, this is a contender for album of the year for me. I know I said last episode someone's gonna have to pull something crazy to beat Sable Fable, in my opinion, for album of the year. This one kind of did it. The only reason that I think it's a contender and not an outright winner, in my opinion, is because it's a mix of some older tracks and some newer tracks.
No,
so
it's
not all completely new stuff.
Well, I mean,
is it not? I thought you said
there's one old track on it, the song Formula, but everything else is new.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then I'm wrong then.
You are wrong.
You cut that out.
No.
You'll cut it out. It's pretty much got nothing but bangers throughout the entire thing. Not a single track, well, for the most part, misses. And God, it has something in there that is so, like, poignant. There is, like, an ingredient, I think, in this album that is so tasty that really brings me in. In fact, I dare say this is making... Like, this might be a top 5 album for me. Because it's got something in there that, you know, as I've said before, can howl to me.
Yeah.
I'm still not exactly sure what that is, even after listening to all of it, though I can take a guess. I'll talk about that in a bit. But it is very, very, very good. I
Yeah.
dare say it's really good.
Take a shot. But this album, I really wanted to show it to you, not only because I had shown you pieces of it, I had connected with it very strongly upon its release, and I figured you would like it. The album has this general feeling of melancholy around it. It has a dour feeling, especially if you listen to like the opening track, Florida, or Shandy in the Graveyard, Sheldon Cooked, Lifestyle Trainers, Vinegar, Chapel of Salt, Max Omelette. Like most of the songs on this record have a bit of a dreary feeling to them, despite still having energy, because that's just the nature of the music. But that melancholy feels, in a way, very personal and nostalgic in a way. And I'm gonna just mention this here. I don't want to delve too far into this episode for obvious reasons. But there's also a very personal connection that I made with this record, and that I'm pretty certain Mr. Reen did as well, based on its themes, which generally a lot of the songs feel like, in some ways, they cover loss or separation or distance, a rift being formed between people. On the title track, Ginkgo, that in particular is brought upon by the use of psychedelics, which I thought was a really neat framing device when the song came out. These days, it just kind of hurts, in a good way. I really like that song, and when it came out as the lead single, it kind of blew me away. What'd you think of that one?
It's got a really nice piano riff to it too.
Yes.
Like the entire thing. It is. I think it's the most popular track on the entire record. It makes sense why. I don't think I'd say it's my favorite, but it's definitely up there.
Yeah, I mean, it was the lead single, and I think it was a perfect choice, to be honest. Not only because, it's the title track, but it sums up a lot of the feelings of the record pretty perfectly, and sounds great doing it.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite lines from that song. The whole chorus is honestly really cool, but I like the way that it ends. The such a funny thing, I don't know where you've been, which to me very strongly implies that, it's interesting to me that I feel like I used to always know, about your life and about what you've been up to, and that's always been something we've talked about. I don't know what you've been up to. I don't know where you've been. I don't know what's been happening. You've been leaving me out of the loop, which I think is really neat, and how it's delivered implies a lot of importance to it. I also love the second verse of the song. You command the leaves to fall, the ginkgo bends at will. I like things that keep their state. I always get my fill, which pretty much perfectly encapsulates the sort of differing perspectives on this song. The person being spoken to very much indulging in this psychedelic use, and getting lost in it, getting wrapped up in it, whereas the person singing the song doesn't feel that way, wants to keep that control, wants to keep things. I like things that keep their state, right? Which I think is really interesting.
I mean, that's kind of the whole point of the album, is the way it deals with the perspective of the
Normie,
the vocalist, the singer, how they're dealing with like the situation unfolding before them of this person, either drifting apart, dying, something like that. I think it kind of varies between song to song on how it's kind of internalize, how it's kind of coped with. Sometimes it's like, hey, maybe it's fine, maybe it's like, oh, we're so good, like, maybe it won't be so bad, maybe it's like a temporary thing, something like honeycomb, or maybe it could be something that's extremely bitter, something that's like, okay, I am so fucking tired of this, like you might see near the end of the album. Maybe that's something that's even like a bit like between both. It's something that it's almost like every single song, well, it does kind of have like a connecting thread between all of them. It's just a different like line of processing for someone dealing with this, if that makes sense.
No, yeah. I like this album a lot for that reason, because it's not a concept album. It doesn't have a narrative necessarily. The songs don't tell the same story. They all tell their own stories. But like you said, there is a through line kind of connecting all of them. Going back to the opener, Florida, which is a track that I kind of was neutral on when the album first came out, is one of my favorites now, weirdly enough. And I love the images that it paints, kind of opening that picture of something that is split, something that is lost or severed, a connection that is strained. Like pieces scattered on the floor, where I destroyed your armor. Creases on the page I carry, the last words you managed to rally. And just the lyrics like that really paint that picture. And the way that it's delivered, the key of the song, which I don't talk about a lot. I don't like getting theoretical, but the key of that song is very, like, despondent, and like you can't make that key sound happy. There's something very, like, not off kilter. I'm trying to think of a word. But I guess dissident would be it. Yeah, like it feels off in a good way.
Something is off. This song. I mean, I think it's a great opener. In fact, I think out of like literally every single song in this entire album, it was probably the best choice for an opener, because it immediately sets the expectation of what you're getting into while still being a distinct voice on its own. It's not like it is just what gets us there. Florida's a perfectly, it is a perfectly serviceable song on its own. I frequently listen to it because it's just that solid in that regard, and I like it for that reason. Again, it's not another favorite of mine, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just because it's a great song in an album of also great songs. So the kind of the distance between what I like and what I really like is like maybe 1 or 2 points, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's a close race all around.
Yeah, I will touch on immediately, because I think the only track that I'm not crazy on, and I have a feeling is the same one you're not crazy on, is the old track, Formula. I think that track has some cool sounds on it. But at this point, I'm asking the failed at maths question, which is like, why did we need to do that? Like, I feel like you could have taken it from subtitles to Rise and Fall, and it probably would have flowed all right. Formula doesn't really feel like a necessary inclusion to me.
No, I think they did need a break, because subtitles is such a like mood like switch from the songs in between it that they kind of need a bit of a transitional thing between that. I think Formula's okay. Like, I just think it's the only thing that I manages to be like, it's okay, but I would probably just skip this.
Yeah.
It's just the ideas it plays around with is just not as super interesting. It kind of feels almost like retreading on some older stuff with, I think, less interesting composition.
Yeah.
It's like this song was a prototype that still made it into the final album, but it's not bad.
It was a demo. Like, it's on their demos record. It's effectively the same song, just remade. But
maybe they could have taken just one of the earlier tracks and just put them in between. For song like track 11, I think that might have been better. I don't know which song that might have been, but they maybe could have done that.
Maybe. Or they could have done something like that I actually quite liked off of Failed at Maths. They could have put an instrumental track there. Because that album has a song called Breakfast Seance, which I think is actually a really nice break on that record. But yeah, but like you said, I think that's the only track that didn't really stick the landing for me. Every other track on this record is at least like an 8 out of 10 great song. Even like some of my lesser favorites, you mentioned Honeycomb before. This was one that was interesting, because that song, I quite like the sound of it, but it doesn't quite strike me the same as a lot of other songs on the record, but I know it did for you, and I can see why. I do still really enjoy it, even though it's, like I said, it's not one of my favorites on the record. The distance is pretty short there, and I still find the song very enjoyable. Has a lot of fun lyrics. Obviously, I like the little quirk of the title not being the same word, as it's honey, comma, comb your hair, as the opening of the song, which I think is nice. But generally, yeah, and the sound of it's very fun. But why don't you talk about that one a little bit, buddy?
Well, it's another avenue of basically exploring this kind of feeling of separation, because you have to understand, it's not all just negative, melancholic emotions that they're kind of towing around with, or even sometimes bitterness near the end. There can be times where it's like you feel this happening, like you pulling away from this person pulling away from you, and you can't feel that misery on the surface, but it's still there as like a spice, like a tint, a tone. That's kind of what Honeycomb is to me. It's like you're still living your life. You're trying to move through the motions and trying to put on a good face for that, but in the background you can still feel that kind of dull pain from that kind of feeling of someone moving apart from you, which I really like. It is a song, in my opinion, that kind of feels the most alive. The one that's like, I'm not in this moment. I'm trying to still live my life, but it's
Yeah.
still in the back of my mind. And I really like it for that reason. I found it very poignant just because of that.
Yeah, I also, weirdly enough, you explaining it like that, to me, I kind of feel like, I kind of going back to the song Subtitles, weirdly enough, which sounds like a weird place to go, as Subtitles is probably the most gentle song on the record, but I feel like it's almost kind of the other side of the same coin, because that song feels a lot more grounded. It feels a lot more like, I can almost put myself in an environment listening to that song. It feels very like, maybe I'm hanging out on like a patio on a beach house or something. It's a nice like summer evening. We're relaxing, and you're just kind of thinking about things. It's a very sweet little moment, and it does feel nice. But there is that overarching lyrical theme and feeling of that sort of separation and that strain. I love the opening line of the song. I dreamt your dog ate my fresh cream cake. It was worth it to see the smile on your face, which I think of that line very much as like paralleling like, oh, something bad happened to me because of you, but it was okay because it made you happy, which is a very literal interpretation of it. And I think that kind of it adds a little bit more layer to the relationship in question here, and maybe why things got to the way that they are. And I think it's really neat. I love the whole you hardly come around these days, you hardly say a word these days. It feels like there's still that feeling of almost like concern and longing for that individual, even though a lot of the other lyrics on the song and on the record paint it as like an inevitable separation that needs to occur, that something is broken, that things are not going well, and it's not necessarily in the control of the narrator. Hence, like the song Ginkgo. But yeah, what do you think of Subtitles? Does what I say make sense, or am I just waffling?
What you said made complete sense. That's why I don't really feel like I have much to add.
Yeah.
You just said basically everything that I think. I think it is interesting because it's one of those other songs. Like, you could generally put a lot of these songs in the album into kind of like a feeling, a mood. Subtitles is one of the ones that kind of sticks out in this regard because it's a very slow, it's a very comfortable song.
Yeah.
And I honestly respect it. I that's another thing I really like about this album, honestly, is that it's not afraid to break away and do new things so long as it contributes to like the main theme.
Yeah.
Which is something I kind of wish I saw more from other albums. It makes it very easy to not only, sit through and listen to, because this album has very, very good listenability. Like there's not a single track that is more than like 4 minutes. Everything just flows so well. And it also makes it really easy to remember what song is what, because that can always be an issue for me. It's like, oh, but what song is like, what's this, and that? Because all like there's some other albums out there, ones we talk about on the show, that kind of just they have a really good main like formula, but they don't really break away from it. They just keep doing it and kind of just like maybe like moving around some pieces, but that's it. Ginkgo doesn't do that. It's not afraid to move to different places to explore a similar idea, and I really like it for that reason. It shows, I think, a lot of confidence in the like part of the composers and the performers that they have a clear message they want to tell, and they can go through different avenues to do that. Speaking of which, another avenue, I want to talk about 2 songs in particular, Chapel of Salt and Max Omelette, because those are in top 3 for me.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. Like 1,000,000%. The first taste I ever gave him of this record was like at least a month ago, probably more like 2, like when the record was very new.
I think it was literally after a Music Box episode, and was like, Pyrine, I need to show you this.
We had just listened to an album. I forget which album, but we had just finished listening to an album, and then I was like, I need to show you this song because I don't know if I want to do this album on the show, but I feel like you need to hear it based on just what was happening in our life, and because I knew he'd like it. That song was Max Omelette, which is probably my favorite song on the album. It's between that and another song, which is not Chapel of Salt. It's actually Shandy in the Graveyard, which we'll get to. But Max Omelette is one of the briefest feeling songs on the record. It's literally just verse, chorus, and then it's over. But it feels so fucking important. Especially with the tracks that it comes in between. Vinegar kind of being its own thing, which I'm excited to talk about. I know you are too. Its own sort of weird song, very lo-fi and crunchy compared to the rest of the album. And then Subtitles being very gentle. Max Omelette feels like a very brief epic climax on the record out of nowhere. It may have the best chorus on the whole album. The way it sounds mostly delivers it, but even just the two lines itself, it gleams like gold to fade away. This stitch unfolds, I am the fray. And the way that is sang there's something so, like, I've cried to that song. And the verses as well, like the second one even more so on the way that it ends. Caught on the wire, hand me the mic, I'll spill, I'll leak for you in this fight. Maybe I might fall in this deep. It very much
fucked up.
It feels like Max Omelette is the song that I think most strongly gets across the feeling of the falling apart. Like, that song feels desperate. It feels pained more than maybe any other song on the record. And I adore it for that reason.
Because you said it feels like a very, very important song in the record. And I'm still, like, to this day, trying to figure out why that is. Like, what about it makes it so distinct? Because I feel like if you were to show someone this record, like, go through all of it, Max Omelette would probably be the one that sticks in someone's mind the most. Because it is...
I mean, it did that to me.
Distinct.
Yeah.
And I can't quite figure out why for the life of me. I mean, it's very good. Like, it is the most, like, pure distillation of that feeling, like you said. It is all of that put into a single song.
Yeah.
But there's a sort of distinct mood it brings to, where it's like, it's not really a lament, it's more like a kind of grim acceptance of the fact that it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I tried to think about this. Every time I went to Max, I was like, what is this song doing? And I can't quite figure it out for the life of me. Maybe someone like a music analyst could figure it out. I can't. I looked at this, it's like a good song. That's all I can really figure.
It was really good. I like I said, I think it is that desperate vibe, and it encapsulates everything. And I think that kind of makes it stand out. It was a single. I think it was the third single. They actually didn't. Regardless, I didn't really listen to the singles as they came out. Besides Ginkgo, which I should have, because the other two singles ended up being like my top two songs on the album before the record release, which was Shandy in the Graveyard and Max Omelette. But before I talk about that, the other song you wanted to talk about, Chapel of Salt. This was another one that blew me away on first listen, and still is one of my favorites on the record. That chorus is awesome. It's a very large song, and I think that serves it well. It gives it more contrast on the record. It's large in a different way than a song like Honeycomb and Max Omelette. Honeycomb's very energetic, very whimsical. Max Omelette is very epic, very desperate, but Chapel of Salt feels more complete. It feels big, and I like it for that reason.
Yeah, it's kind of big, like a chapel per se.
Maybe, who knows?
I mean, it's also a good song just because it is a great one to start the kind of quintet of songs that come after it.
Yes,
it is the opener to like the back half of the album, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's another thing that really helps my opinion of it. It feels important. It feels like, okay, we're moving on to a different part now. You need to, like, put your head in this space that we're making right now to kind of understand the full experience of what we're going to be showing you next.
Yeah.
It's kind of, and I think it kind of fits with the theme. Chapel Salt kind of to me feels like you're finally transitioning into that misery, that dreariness. That this is you kind of like fully accepting the fact, like, I am really not happy with the situation and I feel completely fucking terrible and awful about it. Like, that's what it feels like to me. It is. Sorry, there's people talking my ass right now.
I can hear it.
I'll say it's really good.
No, you're true. I also think, like, it's just straight up a better version of the song that comes before it in terms of, like, what it tries to do. I like Lifestyle Trainers. I think it's fine. But of the new original songs, it's probably my least favorite. Just because I don't think it does a whole lot new or exciting for the record. I think it has some pretty standout lyrics. You know, I like the There's Another Way to the Open Door. Like, that opening line of the song's very nice. It has a very uplifting and hopeful message. But I don't think it does a whole lot for the record. And I think Chapel of Salt has a very similar energy to what Lifestyle Trainers tries to have, but I think it just does it better, even though the topic is completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there's people
No,
still talking.
you're
So I
fine.
can't really say.
It's okay. But yeah. Also, I think it's funny because the album does another funny little wordplay thing. The Chapel of Salt song comes before the song called Vinegar, so it's like salt and vinegar. That's funny. Let's talk about vinegar, finally, because that's one that has kind of been the ongoing bit between us throughout the week that we've been that he's been listening to it, and that I've been like waiting for this episode. And Vinegar is interesting because it is, I think, by a pretty good margin, the weirdest song on the album. Just in terms of its sound, right? It's very lo-fi, very crunchy, very garagey compared to a lot of the other songs. Like the production sounds noticeably worse in a good way. It's lo-fi. And it gives the song a lot of character, in my opinion. It's a very simple song too. If you had told me this is an older Panchiko song, I might have believed you. But I think the song's really well written. But Vinegar kind of shifts the lens a little bit a lot of the time. More inward towards the narrator, the person singing the songs. The opening line of the song kind of encapsulating the whole like sort of thing it's trying to establish. I fool myself all the time, drink the vinegar, not the wine. Sort of paralleling this feeling of allowing oneself to be hurt or indulging in misery over pleasure. And that song, comes, or that sentiment kind of coats the whole song. There's also a lot of other great lyrics. The whole I found a place that hides between your love and your vice, which calls back to the whole psychedelics theme of the record. And yeah, I feel like I just want to hear what you have to say about this song, really, because I know it's stuck with you big.
So I think it was on Tuesday when I was listening to this song, and this actually hit me for the first time. My work is a very big property; it's a couple of acres, and we have like these golf carts that we ride around on in order to get between places. And I was riding on one of these, and it had just gotten done raining. It was kind of like the moment like where the clouds were finally starting to part. You could see like the sun beaming in through the clouds. Kind of illuminating some of the area around you, where some of the ambient, like, moisture on the ground, all that was kind of already starting to evaporate, but still puddles were kind of everywhere, where this song actually kind of hit me for the first time. It made me do something that I'm not very proud of, and that's actually break down crying. I do not cry much. I really hate to cry. It makes me feel gross and disgusting, and I feel ashamed of myself whenever I do it. This is probably one of the only songs I've ever listened to has actually managed to make me do it. And I'm just gonna say it. I think Vinegar is one of my favorite songs ever made ever. Like, it's in the top, I want to say 5 in my opinion. Probably in the 5th spot, but God, there is something that this song does absolutely right. And that to me kind of simulates a stasis. Because the song has a single line, it barely moves from it. It just continues. This song has basically almost no movement. It is 2 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
It feels very, very old. It's got a kind of grainy. And that to me is like that moment of it's not even like misery. It is a concoction of emotions, of feelings that you could be experiencing at a single moment. To me, this song is the epitome of you stumbling across like an old set of DMs between you and a person you were really, really close with, and then all of a sudden feeling yourself mentally being thrown back to who you were as a person back when you were talking to this person, and kind of going through that whole arc once again in your head. Everything that kind of went through since then, that is this song to me. This is you stumbling across a set of old photos in your closet between you and your old frat mates. This is you seeing the old text or hearing the old voicemail. This is you being thrown back and stuck in a time where you were miserable, but you can't deny there was also something there that you really, really loved. Mm-hmm. And it's so bittersweet. It's still very, very bitter, again, like vinegar, but there's also something there that you really, really wanted. And again, it's like trying to trick yourself that you're drinking wine, not vinegar. That at that time you had something there that was worth keeping, not something that was, literally undrinkable. And I gotta tell you, if you ever catch me listening to Vinegar on loop, know that I'm not okay, because this is like now my pure misery song. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm in the car and I put on a Vinegar, I do mean it. When you gotta start praying for your life, because things are gonna get like crazy taxi. I'm gonna start hitting pedestrians.
He fools himself all the time. Drives right through that red stop sign. No.
I'm not your man.
It's a pretty great song. For me, the one that I think emotionally struck the most, and I kind of, besides maybe Max Omelette, but I kind of alluded to it earlier in the episode, and it's another contender for my favorite song on the album, and honestly probably is the song Shandy in the Graveyard, which might be a weird one for you, because I don't know if you were as crazy about it as I was when we first listened to it, but that song is awesome. It has a Billy Woods feature, which caught me way off guard, because Billy Woods and Panchiko are never two names you would ever see next to each other. Billy Woods is he's a relatively, not even that underground, I don't think at this point, but he's fairly underground, hip-hop artist, frequently makes music about like his trauma growing up being, in a impoverished situation, gang violence and all that stuff. And having him on a Panchiko song sounds like, what? Did you just like, this is like a AI generated combo here? But I think he actually nails it on that song, and his verse is a highlight on the record for me, pretty easily. A lot of the imagery that his verse paints in that song stuck with me very strongly. A couple lyrics I want to point out. The opening lines of that verse. She left her necklace and never retrieved it. I left a message meandering gently amidst our secrets. The clasp was broken, but you know me, I tend to keep the pieces. I love that, because this necklace to me symbolically represents that connection, that thing that they had together. You can think of it as like a friendship bracelet, or maybe like one of those pendants, you could match together, or like whatnot. She left her necklace and never retrieved it, being like, it's something that's been neglected by this person, that's been left behind. The clasp was broken, but you know me, I tend to keep the pieces. You're holding on to that part of them. And that to me is awesome. Like that's just 10 out of 10 imagery. I fucking love that lyrical style. It's great. I love the ending of the song is also, or the ending of the verse is also probably my other favorite line, which is just the one line, surrounded by the bones of those I'd slain, but God knows my heart, which I think is really cool, because I'm putting onus on myself here. In a lot of the social situations I find myself in, I find myself being somebody that is more confrontational, that maybe is more of a mediator, somebody that makes things happen, and takes a lot of action where others might not want to. And that has led me to sever connections with people. Because, that's a part of life. You should probably end up having to do that anyway. You'll have bad eggs. You got to make sure they're not, stuck to you. But there's a lot of guilt that comes with that sometimes. And it feels like, surrounded by the bones of those I had slain, it feels like there's a level of guilt there. There's a level of like, it feels bad. It feels wrong. It feels like you have slain them. It feels like you have hurt them by severing that connection. But, but God knows my heart. It was the right thing to do at the end of the day. It had to happen. And I think that's really cool. But yeah, also I think the vocals from Panchiko on that song are just fucking awesome. The opening line of the chorus feels like on the edge of an age where the scent of you still remains. It feels like an inflection point. It feels like something is changing. Like there is the scent of you, as it's put, right? There's something hanging there, and it still remains, but it's you're on the edge of it. You're moving on. There's a change happening, and it's pretty cool imagery. But I love Shandy in the Graveyard. It also just sounds really fucking cool. But yeah, what do you think of that song?
I think the problem with Shandy for me is that it's a song that's good, also in between songs that I like slightly more. If I were to pick, I'd probably prefer Ginkgo or Honeycomb between it, but that doesn't mean I don't like Shandy. I think the only reason I wouldn't put it up there for me is because it's it kind of, there's a word I'm looking for. I'm not good with words right now.
Good. Really?
I think it's between, like, a transition between Ginkgo and Honeycomb. I think kind of almost makes me overlook it a bit. Because I really do like it, and if I specifically take it and I stick it out, like I seek it out, is the word I was looking for. Then I can actually like see it for what it is. But to me, it's almost just like a song that gets us to the other ones, and it's a good like border one from that for me. But I just never really ended up paying much attention to it just for that reason alone.
But yeah, no, I kind of get what you mean, and I see why you overlook Shandy in the Graveyard, but I think it's a less is more kind of song. I quite like it. But yeah.
I like Vinegar, so it's only fair.
Then that's real. But yeah, we could talk about the closing too, I think, and we'll finish it up. Because I did want to talk about those as like the last big thing. Because I think they're actually kind of both interesting sides of the same coin. Rise and Fall, to start, is very melancholic, downtrodden. I made a joke when we listened to it. It's like the video of Spider-Man walking in the rain and the helicopter falling down. The song feels like that to me. And it kind of feels like a final sort of surrender, like a waving of the white flag, which kind of brings the album to its closing thematically. And I think it's pretty good. I'm not like super crazy about it. It's not my favorite, but I do think it's quite effective in what it does, and I like the sound of it quite a bit. It's very fuzzy. I like that.
It's fuzzy.
Oh my god, just like me. I like it. And then the other track before it, I mean, after it, not before it. Specifically because I just like the mood it sets. They are extremely bitter, in my opinion. They are very.
We'll get to, yeah.
And I like it, especially for the closer. I think it's a very, very interesting choice, but one that I think thematically really, really fits. Because if you go through all this shit, dealing with this, kind of situation, falling away from a person, you're not going to come out of it like, oh, at least I learned something. At least I in the end, I came out on top. No, you're going to be like, fuck everything. This is so, fuck this shit. You know what I mean?
No, I absolutely see it. Also, I think something that's interesting, their melodies at their core are like nearly identical. Which is really interesting. Like, Rise of All's like a spice on the wind. And then like Innocent, you got, why so eager to target? Like, it's the same. It's the same melody. They sound very similar, which I think is really cool. And it connects the two songs quite well. And the tones are kind of similar. They both hold a very like, a closing sort of feel, like it's over by the point you get to these two songs, but they do it in a very different way. Rise and Fall feels very melancholic, feels like a waving of the white flag. Innocent feels like a spitting in the face, like a gnashing of teeth. It feels a lot more of like angry. I mean, just the sound of the tracks, right? Rise and Fall is very fuzzy, very slow. Innocence more up tempo. It's got that funky ass bass line that I adore. It's got more punchy, percussion. It's got a harsher vocal delivery, which I think is really cool. And the onus and where it is put on each song is also very different. Rise and Fall puts a lot of the onus on the self. I've been the break, I've been the cause, an excuse we all implore. Right. It feels kind of going back to that sort of guilty feeling from Shandy in the Graveyard. It feels like kind of bad for itself. Innocent is you steal our show, right? It is pointing the finger at the other person and saying, it's not on me, it is on you, right? This is over, and I did everything that I could, but it is not my fault that things turned out the way that they have, right? The onus is on the other person by the end of the record. And Innocent kind of feels in a way like a frustrating breaking free of that guilt, which I think is really cool. And I've honestly come to really enjoy that song for that reason.
It starts off like, oh man, I actually done something. Maybe it was my fault. The second song is like, fuck you, fuck your family, fuck your life, fuck your job, fuck every single thing we've ever done. Fuck it, die.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, I love that. The The way the verses frame that as well. I love the always stuck in the cycle, hanging on to denial, but you knew that and kept going. No release and no cigar. Kind of it's saying like you knew what was wrong. You knew these things that were hurting you and that were hurting the relationship. You were aware of them and you chose to keep doing that anyway. And that has hurt you. I'm not picking up the pieces this time. We're done. And that speaks to me.
Me too.
But yeah, Ginkgo. I'm really glad you fucked with this album.
Yeah.
I
It's one
fucked
of my
with
tops
it
now.
way more than I expected to. It is another contender for album of the year. It's not my album of the year. I still think Sable Fable is, but this album's close. It is damn close. And a lot of moments on this record may surpass even the highs on Sable Fable. For that reason, I'm giving this album a 94. I love it. It's really good. Take a shot. It is really fucking good.
I'm still deciding on what the album of the year is now for me, because I have to like actually get down and analyze those two in order to see which ones I like more.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I'm gonna give it a 97. 'Cause God, I was like blown away with it. I really liked it. I forget what I gave Table. It might have been like a 95 or 96.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at that, because I guess that does automatically make Panchiko, but I still need to like cross-reference them. But yeah, it's guys, it's really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Listen to it.
You should listen to it. If you have already, please tell us what you think of it in the comments. And if you haven't, go ahead. I think it's a perfectly fine starting place for Panchiko, as it's still very much in line with a lot of the work that they've done before. I just think it's better. Just flat out. Like, I think this is easily their best work. I think Failed at Maths was pretty good. I thought Death Metal was alright. I think this album's amazing. Like, I just wholeheartedly, I recommend it to you. If you like alternative rock music, if you like Radiohead, definitely fucking listen to this album. But yeah, that's going to be it from us. Next week, we're taking a break for a week, and then we'll come back. So the next episode will come out 2 weeks after this one, right? That's right. Yes. And in that episode, we're going to be listening to this album. I'm infecting him with the disease. So yeah, I will see you guys. We will see you guys in the next episode. Don't worry about it. He doesn't know what the album is. He'll be fine. Toodles.
Now we're gonna end it.
Bye.
Yeah, now you can go. The door's open. Get lost.
Oh, be nice.
We had you for what you want you, so you get lost.
Be nice. Please.
I fool myself.
Stop.